Today, behind closed doors, a group of men will decide the fate of millions. Everyone has one question on their minds. Will India stay united or will it be divided by religion? Says a radio broadcaster in the opening minutes of Freedom at Midnight.
ये सिर्फ मेरी नहीं, करोड़ों हिंदुस्तानियों की कहानी है।
SonyLIV's sprawling series from director Nikkhil Advani follows the tense, trying, tragic months leading up to Indian independence from the British, the devastating inevitability of partition, and the conversations, conflicts, and conditions which led to it. Based on Larry Collins and Dominic Lapia's book of the same name, the series aims to tell the story of a crucial chapter in our history books and humanize these famed figures. On one side is the Indian National Congress, led by Jawaharlal Nehru, played by Sidhant Gupta, alongside Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, played by a sparkling Rajendra Chawla. On the other, you have the All India Muslim League, led by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, played by a stiff, stone-faced Arif Zakaria. Hovering above the two opposing sides is the new British Viceroy, Louis Mountbatten, played by Luke McGibney, and Mahatma Gandhi, played by Scam 92's Chirag Vohra, who plays the father of the nation like a defeated parent hoping, praying that his children make the right decisions. The Congress want a united India, the League want Pakistan, and both are united in wanting us to leave, and we want to leave, but we can't because of this deadlock, says a British official. Over 7 immensely ambitious episodes, the show follows the push and pull power struggles in those crucial months of Nehru, Sardar Patel, and Gandhi's desperate Herculean battle against partition amidst the horrors of communal violence sweeping the nation, the lives of millions that hang in the balance, and these now famed figures crumbling under the pressures and weight of those nation-defining decisions. Freedom at Midnight's sprawling narrative from writers Abhinandan Gupta, Advitya Kareng Das, Gundeep Kaur, Divyanidhi Sharma, Revanta Sarabhai, and Ethan Taylor casts a very wide net. An extensive ensemble, multiple moving pieces of different parties and players, clashing ideologies, historic meetings and showdowns, smaller meetings to debrief the earlier meetings, plenty of walking and talking drama and staring pensively into the distance, politicking, scheming and strategizing. It's a dense series with 7 episodes of near constant exposition. Particularly early on, I found myself having to pause episodes frequently just to take in the significance of a key event and development and what it means. Freedom at Midnight is, of course, a history lesson, an essential one, a tremendously sincere one. But the problem is I wasn't able to see past that history lesson. I was always very aware that I was experiencing a stagey recreation of key events rather than getting lost in the storytelling. In choosing to tell the larger macro story and tragedy of the rebirth of a nation, what it isn't able to muster is compelling characters and drama. In choosing to cover so much ground and mount a well-crafted Wikipedia-style highlights reel of essential events, the price you pay is the patience needed to have us invest in these characters. Put simply, you feel the India story but not the human story. Ideally, what you'd hope fiction and dramatization would do is bring the past to life, provide context, humanize these men, and make us feel the facts. I'd argue that there's little we get here that we couldn't get from a great documentary. Look at Emmy Entertainment's own Rocket Boys, which is the obvious comparison point here. Granted, that show was about comparatively lesser-known figures of Vikram Sarabhai and Homi Bhabha, but still, where Rocket Boys soared was that it was first a human story. The role the two figures played in shaping independent India was grounded in a sensitive, deeply affecting tale of two men, two friends, and ensuring that we care about them. In Rocket Boys, humanity and heart trumped stagey, theatric historyness. Here, it's the opposite. And I get it, it's clear Freedom at Midnight isn't interested in their personal lives, merely the role they played in the origin story of a free nation, but the narrative isn't able to entirely take us into their minds and offer a compelling character study. Granted, it isn't easy to navigate and rise above the gimmickiness of staging historic events we've seen on screen many times before, and this series has no lack of sincerity or conviction, but simply put, great drama is great drama is great drama. It will always win you over and have you submit. And there's no dearth of great dramatic potential here. Mahatma Gandhi choosing Nehru over Sardar Patel for PM. Jinnah, previously a member of the Congress, now fighting them on all fronts. Gandhi's tragic disappointment in his followers for giving in and accepting partition and so on. Allies turned enemies, betrayal, plotting. Honest men forced to make impossible decisions where there is no winning, merely different degrees of losing. What you're left with is a show with much to admire, a great deal to follow but little to feel. Like the drama, there's a dense layer of synthetic stiffness to the colorless visuals I struggled to punch through. And that's not to say Freedom at Midnight isn't impressively crafted. DOP Malay Prakash's carefully composed frames the rich detailing of Aisha Das Gupta's costumes and Surbhi Verma and Priya Sohas's production design. But the problem is the show never lets you forget it. This is craft with a capital C, which, like the ticking clock background score, draws too much attention to itself, and you're rarely able to feel beyond it. You can see the painstaking effort. This extends to the performances too. Sidhant Gupta had a star-making turn in Jubilee, and I was immensely excited to see what he does next. I loved his electricity and exuberance as Jai Khanna in that show. But while there's no lack of earnestness here, you can see the effort in his performance as Nehru, the closest this series has to a protagonist. What he does with his voice and accent and how he carries himself. It's bold, big swing casting, and Sidhant has you feel his pain and resignation, but you don't feel the world weariness and burden of a man in his late 50s with the weight of the world on his shoulders. Instead, watch how he comes alive in a flashback sequence where a young Nehru first meets Gandhi. The wide-eyed wonder, hope and innocence in Sidhant's eyes in that one scene did more for me than any of his haggard, modern-day 1947 sequences. I was similarly torn with Chirag Vohra's turn as Gandhi. While Chirag's commitment is undeniable and absolute, it's a very showy performance. You can feel him playing an icon, not a person. Instead, it's an impressive Rajendra Chawla as Sardar Patel who stands out and is able to ground him in flesh and blood. Similarly, it's refreshing to see the competent depiction of the British characters. For once, they're taken seriously, given dimension, and all seem to have the right accents. Partly because the bar for how we depict white people on screen is underground. Elsewhere, the members of the Muslim League are the flimsiest written and treated as little more than scheming troublemakers rather than men devoted to their cause. Chief among them is an intense, skulking, resting bitch face Arif Zakaria as Jinnah. It's the kind of loud performance and pitch that won't be out of place facing off against Tiger in the next YRF spy universe film. The series has little intention to humanize Jinnah as more than a one-note, ego-fueled, arrogant man. What I'll remember Freedom at Midnight for most is how it explores the messy intersection of politics, power, and progress. Supercharged ideologies, egos, and personalities at odds with each other, with an entire nation that hangs in the balance. Personal gain versus national progress. Idealism versus pragmatism, compromise versus conceding, fighting the system versus working within it to bring change. I'll remember this show for its atmosphere of pain and how chasing liberty meant speeding toward tragedy. You can watch Freedom at Midnight on SonyLIV. For more reviews like this one, subscribe to The Hollywood Reporter India.